the glory, the agony, the sport, and the acting. We dive deep into the world of pro wrestling. From the bright lights of the stage to the depths of defeat. It may be just a show to many, but to the athletes, it's a lifestyle filled with exhilaration, challenges, pain, and purpose. Join us for a roundtable style discussion on what it's like to be a pro wrestler.
This is Ringside Raine, and welcome to the Lao American Pro Wrestling Roundtable, a special episode of the SEA4 Podcast. And now, introducing the best Lao American pro wrestlers in the world, Sean Lao, El Saiko Gato, and Jordan Jaa.
Right.
Oh man, you gotta hide that identity, huh?
Yeah. I got a bunch of haters. One of them name is Jordan
Right
Jaa.
there, dude. This dude hates me.
I hate all you guys.
Oh, get out of here, dude.
You people.
You
Yeah, that's what they say about
freaking
us.
Alabama Space
That's
Cats.
You Louisiana Space Cats.
Space Cajun, dude.
I hate Cajun fries.
You. So where's
Sean
Sean?
Lao.
You waiting on Sean?
Oh,
You
it's
guys-
Buku Dao.
Buku Dao. Buku Dao's Vietnamese, dude. Oh, wait, there he is. There's Sean.
Got nothing on the Asian warrior, Sean Lao.
You sound just like him too. Oh my God.
All right, so since we're all in a wrestling, whatever. You know what? Watch this.
Please don't. I'm glad he had pants on.
All
Sean
right.
Bouasenesouk has left the chat. You are now speaking with the Asian warrior, Sean Lao.
All right.
All
Well, hey,
right.
Sean Lao, man, check out the shirt I'm repping, dude.
Oh heck yeah! I
Yeah.
graduated from there too.
So did I, man.
Hey, rule number one about pro wrestling: shameless self-promotion.
That's right. That's why we have you guys here.
Hey, I'm rocking my own shirt too. See, Gato don't have shirts. Nobody likes them.
I gotta be excellent to
rocking
each
the belt?
other.
Hey, everybody, people know this guy. I know
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Hold
That's my
I'm
uncle.
old, man. I'm old.
Well, cool, guys. Hey, thanks for coming on. Glad we could make this work. I'm really excited about your journeys and sharing them with the listeners here. So Coach Chanthapone here is going to go ahead and kick this show off, and we'll start this interview. Co.
Oh, come on, man. It's Chanthapone. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of SEA4 Podcast. My name is Coach Chanthapone. I'm here with my co-host, John Messina, and we have a really entertaining episode today. We have professional wrestlers, right? And, that's something you don't hear too much about, especially in the Lao or Asian culture, because everybody was like, man, it's fake, especially growing up. They're like, oh, man, it's fake. And I was a kid, and I was just loving it. So I've been a big fan ever since I was a kid, starting with all the old timers, man. So, but we got a new generation here, and I'm gonna let. Sorry, man. If you haven't already, please follow, and share our page. Right, Lao American Sports .com, SEA4 Podcast on Facebook, Lao American Sports Hall of Fame on Facebook, and Lao American Sports on IG. And I'm glad my co-host introduced these awesome wrestlers.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody. We have a kind of interesting episode tonight. We're going to actually have a pro wrestler roundtable tonight. But before we jump into that, first of all, I wanted to thank Ringside Raine for that great introduction. Ringside Raine is an up-and-coming wrestling ring announcer. If you're not following her, follow her on IG, follow her YouTube channel, doing some really cool things. We also love our shout outs to small businesses. We're going to continue that. If you have a small business, want you to give a shout out on the show, DM us through the Lao American Sports Hall of Fame or the SEA4 Podcast pages, and we'll do that. So a couple businesses that we're going to give shout outs today. Sab ID, Lao Thai street food around the whole DFW area, Addison, Prosper, Rowlett, and Dallas, as well as Rancho Cucamonga. A special thank you to Sab ID CEO Boy Sinharat. We have some great collaborations coming with Boy, especially around the SEA Games that are coming up and the athletes that are going over there. That's going to be really exciting. Another small business for a shout out, the Joseph Anthony Salon. They're in a new location in Loomis, California, just outside of Sacramento. This is one of Sacramento area's top salons, and it's only about 10 minutes or so from the Thunder Valley Casino. So if you're out that way, you know where to stop, get your hair done, look good, and hit the casino. With that said, we're going to start the roundtable. We're going to start with Mr. Jordan Jaa. He's going to introduce himself. He's coming to us out of Louisiana. Jordan, give us a quick intro on you.
So my real name is Peter Chanthapone. I am half American. I grew up in a little town called New Iberia, Louisiana. The outskirts of that town, there's a huge Laotian community, big temple, big Laos New Year.
Hey, is he frozen or is it just me?
Yeah,
John.
you're glitching a bit. Go ahead, Jordan.
Okay. I'm sorry. Again. Like I said, my real name is Peter Chanthapone. My wrestling name is Jordan Jaa. I'm 37 years old, and I am from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Awesome.
Broke into the wrestling business right around 2001. Had my first match in 2003 and wrestled up until 2010. Quit for a few years, got the itch back, and decided to jump back in the ring in 2019. So trying to go hard, go strong, and just do the best I can, man. Have some fun.
Cool. Well, New Iberia is that town where they have all the streets named after Lao cities, right?
Yeah. Well, see, there's over here in Louisiana, we don't have counties. We have parishes. So Iberia Parish, there's a few little towns, and there's New Iberia. Outskirts of it is called Koto, Louisiana. And there's an entire Laos community, a village, and all the names of the ocean. And there's a huge temple, the Laos New Year that goes on every April.
Awesome. That's cool. All right, we're going to continue down the list here. Now we go to Sean Lau, coming to us from Amarillo, Texas.
How's it going?
Going on.
All right, so I'm pretty new with the whole broadcast and everything else. So let's go ahead and help me get started here. So what would you guys like to know?
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Sean. Tell us how you got into wrestling, so forth.
All right, so real name Dino Sean Bouasenesouk. I go by my middle name Sean, just because I figured my first name's too goofy. So born in Dallas. Lived my first 10 years there, next 10 years in Houston, and then decided to attend WT in Canyon, Texas, which is pretty close to Amarillo. And so you can say that the rest is history. Now, growing up, I was pretty much introduced to pro wrestling from my mom. We would watch Thursday Night SmackDown, before she would get ready and go to work. And then also my grandfather would watch it every Thursday. He would, come to me and say, "Hey, Dino, boxing tonight." And, that was like one of the fondest memories of him. So being able to watch that wrestling with him, being able to bond with him that way. And so me, I've always been intrigued with some of the characters that's portrayed, especially specifically Undertaker, Kane, being able to, get lost in the story that they tell. So then you eventually, you become a fan, you fantasize about being part of it. And then now, I never thought I would actually be a part of it myself. And then here I am.
Cool. That's great. All right, we got one more wrestler on here, El Saiko Gato. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
What's up? My name is El Saiko Gato de la Ghetto. I am Laotian, 100%. I was born in Milwaukee. I was raised in Boston, and I grew up here in Mobile, Alabama. I'm also from outer space. And I don't know, man. Like I just grew up always watching pro wrestling. Like my earliest memory period was like WrestleMania 3, but I'm pretty sure I didn't watch it live, but it was like a VHS tape. And I would go to like all the like Hollywood videos and all the rental stores, and I would get all the Coliseum videos, and that's how I'd watch it because we couldn't really afford to watch all the pay-per-views live, except when there's like a big party and whatnot. I started in 2010, and I thought that I was the first Laotian professional wrestler because I didn't even know about that sucker named Jordan Jaa. All right. And Sean Lau wasn't even born yet. Okay. So I thought I was the first one. And I thought I was like, man, I'm making strides. You know what I mean? Like it feels good to be the first. And then he adds me on Facebook. And I get so upset. And like I yelled at my friend Scott Phoenix. And you know what, man? I was on WrestleMania. All right. I thought I was the only one, the first one, and I made it to WrestleMania. I thought I was the peak. I thought I was the peak, way up here. And then Jordan Jaa comes out of retirement.
But dude, hey, you're still the first Laotian wrestler in kitty years.
Shut up, man.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm trying to give you some credit.
Shut up. But yeah, I started training in Virginia while I was in the Navy. So I would do my Navy work, and then after work, I'd drive an hour to go to training in Virginia Beach. And then I got stationed in Texas. I got out of the Navy and I decided to chase. So I went to Houston. I went to the Art Institute and I weaseled my way into Booker T's school. And then my mom got sick. I had to move back home to here in Alabama. And then I somehow joined Wildcat, and this is the Wildcat. So yeah, Wildcat in New Orleans, Louisiana. So and I've just been slowly grinding, you know.
That's cool.
I'm also an actor, so pow.
All right. Well, that'll roll us into kind of our first question, because when we were kids, we all thought this thing was real. At least Co did, right, Co?
Yeah.
No, we all did. So it's what do you guys get? And we'll start with you, Jordan. Do a lot of people kind of criticize it as not being a real sport since it is a combination of acting and athletics?
Oh man, well, I think people have always done that. People will always continue to do it. They have people who love it and people who hate it, just like anything else, So, a lot of the times I get guys, oh man, that's fake. I mean, hey, I challenge them in there and take a bump, man, see how it feels. That ring is solid steel wood with barely a quarter inch to a half inch of padding. Taking bumps isn't fun, dude. And whenever you work from company to company, some guys take care of their stuff, and some of them are rougher than the others. I've had wrestling matches inside boxing rings, and those are the absolute worst. So I mean,
Preach.
I had a black eye a few weeks ago and get kicked in the face. So I mean, like I said, if anybody thinks it's fake, I mean, nobody goes to a Marvel movie, sit there and complains about how fake it is the whole time. Sit back.
Cool. Well,
All right.
so Gato, tell us, man. So with that, have you had any significant injuries?
No.
Cool. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I've had a few. So honestly, it wasn't really during an actual match, but it was actually during training. There was one where there was a Roddy Mack seminar, and we're doing practice matches in front of him. And so there was a point where I was working with someone that was greener, and he called for a power move that caused me to hit the ropes with my ribs, and I was basically not being able to breathe properly for a week. One recently was a back injury where we're in training, and we're teaching some of the new guys not to stutter step, and we're doing some up and over drills. Me, I already have a history of back issues, and then him, there was a point where I was trying to help him get over the top rope, and I ended up messing up my back that way. So then, a few days later, went to the chiropractor, and then ended up not being able to walk that day and then still having to do a match the very next day. So yeah, it's not ballet. Those that think, oh, it's fake, whatever. You figure out, what paying your dues is. What sacrifice is. Sacrifice is the key. It's what one of my trainers would tell us. Sacrifice is the key, and you pay your dues, and you get real far with that.
Yeah, I want to follow up on John's first question about about the criticism of being fake, and the podcast does focus on adversity. Starting with Jordan, can you guys each share some of the adversity that you guys face getting into professional wrestling, especially as a Southeast Asian? Can you share with us some of your stories?
Did Gato go yet? I think
Yeah, dude. He asked me if I got injured before, and I said no.
He's like,
my camera froze up for a little while, so I missed that.
I don't get hurt.
Oh, I guess you can't feel it being from space,
Yeah, different gravity, dude.
Yeah, guys. Let's start. Yeah, let's start with Jordan about any adversities and challenges that you guys faced.
Let's see, adversities and challenges, man, dude. I'll be honest with you. I went through a lot. Had a lot of training. As a matter of fact, I was trained by the same guy Sean mentioned a while ago, Rodney Mack. He is one of the many people I trained with. Size was one thing, and just getting into it so young was my biggest challenge. Truth be told, I really feel like I had it a lot easier than a lot of people. I broke in with a great group of guys. When I first started, I was 15 years old. I was 120 pounds. And for the first 3 months, I wasn't even allowed into the wrestling ring. I had to tear it down, work security, work shows. And then after that, I had to earn my spot to be able to just step in. And even after that, the first 6 months was really just being a crash test dummy, and taking bumps for the other students and helping them get better. And then once I kind of proved my worth, then I was allowed to train, But as far as for breaking in, man, I came in with a great group of people. In 2003, I would start working in Houma, Louisiana, and there was a guy by the name of Steve Anthony he would work with me all the time before shows and take me on the road. Rodney Mack and Jazz in 2005, I knew them from whenever they broke in the business in 97, going watch them when I was just a kid. So I was lucky enough to train underneath them. But adversity-wise, man, it's really balancing it out, I find depending on what you want to do with the wrestling business, whether you want to make a career out of it, or stay in the independence or do it just because of a thing you love, I think keeping a life and wrestling balance is really probably the biggest challenge to me personally.
Cool. Sean?
Okay, so we're still on the topic of adversity?
Yeah.
Okay, so wrestling-wise, so it's so one of the earliest one is just being green, just like what Mr. Jordan Jaa has mentioned. Being green, being able to learn how to work with the people, not against them, knowing to keep each other safe and knowing the psychology of what we do. And so just being able to grasp, being able to be convincing in the ring, just understanding, why behind the why, and just keeping each other safe. Now, as far as psychologically, me being the little guy, I'm only like 5'6", 160 pounds, and so being able to learn more, the high flying stuff rather than the power moves. Like, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a weightlifter, right? I like to do all these power moves, but unfortunately, I'm not able to because it's not convincing. You know what I mean? And other adversities also include, I guess, having a thick skin, especially if you're playing the role of a heel, being a bad guy in a certain town. You have to be able to take some of the trash talks that the fans will give you. One place in particular, it's a small country town in Texas. I'm not going to mention the town's name. I will go there this Friday. I've dealt with folks telling me, hey, go back to where you came from, and just being able to have that thick skin.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. I had a lot of that early in my career, but that was in the 90s, and it's sad. It's sad to hear that it's still around, in the, this time and age. So, yeah, definitely have thick skin. All right, is it El Gato? I'm sorry, man. Saiko Gato. My bad.
Catman.
Cat. Okay.
I used to wrestle in the Mid Atlantic, right? And size is a big thing. Like, I get what everyone said about how size is that. Can we cuss?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
shit, that makes everything a lot better.
Yeah, right. Fuck. No, like size is that shit that can really hold us back because we're all playing a part. But we all want to be more than what we, truly are. Like, yeah, you can pick somebody up, you can power bomb them, but it's not believable, right? Scarlet Witch isn't gonna just start throwing hands with people, like she's gonna use her magic. You gotta know your role and shut your mouth. I think I just came up with that. That sounds good. Know your role and shut your mouth. But like, just being smaller than everybody, like I'm 5'6.5", but when I first started, I was only 170. 175, but it took years to put on the weight. Now I'm like 5'6.5", but like 220 pounds. And now I can do the power moves and things of that nature, but then it's still not completely believable. Like, you may be able to do something. Like, there's been times when I've like came in and I just started giving people Germans, right? Now I could physically like really do that to people. But the crowd, they'll see it and they'll go, oh, try hard. They want you to stay in your lane, which is like a double-edged sword. Because if you stay in your lane too long, the opportunity to get ahead might pass you up. And I've wrestled in North Carolina, and they've called me a yellow monkey.
Jeez.
Like, and this was a black guy that called me that. Like, so it doesn't, like, shit is gonna be said to you, but the fun part is just like, can you spin it? Like, can you spin it without getting in trouble? And the other adversities would be like being able to afford to do this. You really have to have like your life like straight, because I've known people that have like ridiculous amount of talent. They're like some of the best wrestlers that no one's ever gonna know, but they couldn't get their shit together, and then everything just imploded. You have to be in like the right state of mind. You have to be happy, because if you're not happy outside of wrestling, you're not going to be happy inside of wrestling. That's what I got.
So I'll go back to it for a second, man. Two things. One thing Sean said about having thick skin. Not only do you have to have thick skin with people outside of the wrestling, you have to have even thicker skin with people within wrestling.
Yeah.
You will never meet a group of people that will criticize you, talk crap behind your back more than anybody else, dude. It's so plentiful because you can make so many good friends and so many memories, but at the same time, everybody's out for themselves, everybody's out to get in. Like Gato said, dude, you really got to have your stuff together. I know my first few years of wrestling, one of the reasons why I don't like going back and look at it is because I look like crap, bro. I had the cheap Amazon pants and the muscle shirt. Dude, just gear by itself is expensive as hell,
Yep.
And dude, you have to look professional, because bottom line, the wrestling business is called wrestling business for a reason. And that's because it is a business. And the point of it is to draw money. And if a promoter cannot put you on a flyer and people are not willing to pay for you, he has no reason to promote you or book you. So like Gato said, man, you really got to have your stuff together, dude. I agree with him on that 100%. And as far as for the racism part, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit different being half. I did experience a lot of racism as far as for the wrestling stuff, but I experienced it more from the Laotian side as opposed to the American side.
I gave him shit. I gave him shit all the time.
He gives me shit all the time.
Daywalker, dude.
Would you care to elaborate on that?
What's that?
Yeah, tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, like about the Laotian side, about the racism on that side.
So with my mom being American and my dad being Laotian, my dad's story is typical. He stayed in a refugee camp in Thailand for over a year. He came over. He has sisters in Japan, sisters in Laos. He has 2 sisters in Arkansas. So growing up, I didn't, as much as I wanted to and still want to, I never learned how to speak Laotian. I don't know much about my culture, unfortunately, besides just eating a little bit of the food, and the area of town I grew up in was predominantly African American, and I got along with a lot of them, but once I hit like that middle school, high school area, and I started getting mixed in with a lot of Laotian kids from the bigger community, I was actually looked down upon, for not being like them, for not being able to speak it, because I listened to different music and because I was into wrestling, so it was a little different for me. But I mean, I learned to embrace it, and it just made me different. That's all.
But hey, Lincoln Park brought us all together.
Great. Rest in peace, Chester.
Right? No, almost every Asian kid that I know at least likes Lincoln Park.
Oh, no doubt. And look, man, what I'm saying is, growing up, I had plenty of Laotian friends, and a lot of them I still got along with, but like the Laos New Year, I haven't been to that since I was 12 years old. I was kind of, for lack of better terms, it was known that I wasn't wanted around there, So to me, getting into pro wrestling and being Laotian, that was my outlet. That was something about the nationality that I have, and one of the few things I could actually be proud of, And then I met Gato, and he ruined it for me.
I still haven't used like a Laotian type character yet. And like, I think I'm just waiting to use my real name as my wrestling gimmick. So,
well, if it makes anyone feel better, so I currently have 3 personas. One is the Asian warrior, Sean Lao. Basically, Lao. I want to represent my own culture, and I want to be able to bring awareness, to who we are. That there's more than just Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese. The more well-known race. And so, this is something that means a lot, being able to bring us together, being able to bond, with fellow Lao wrestlers, let alone, the Lao community, being able to show the community who we are rather than, show who we are, while also, being able to show the wrestling world, what the Lao culture is. And so I mentioned I got 2 other personas. One is the Shadow Dragon, which is my dark side. We'll talk about that later. And then there's, the stereotypical villager that I portray, Spicy Noi. I come out with one of those straw hats that you see in the village, and I come out with that pestle and mortar.
I love it.
Spice things up,
I love it.
And
dude, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do like the Great Buddha one day, and instead of the mist, it's gonna just be Padak.
There you go.
Hey, don't be stealing the Shadow Dragon's gimmick, because the Shadow Dragon is kind of based on the Great Buddha.
Fuck you. Fuck. Get it.
Or I could just do, dude, I could go the Cajun route, bro. I could just spit crab boil in their face.
And throw fucking Thang No in people's faces.
So, Sean, I mean, you're from a town with a big Lao community, Amarillo.
Yes.
And I know it's unique because you're not from there. But, for like my wife grew up there, and some of her family's been there, I don't know, since like the 70s. Do they come out and support you?
I have a few buddies. Like I have a Lao friend that made me this shirt right here. Actually, she helped make the logo. Her and her brother. Basically, it's the Lao logo with on top of a wrestling ring with the name Sean Lao on it, and then the Be Loud, Be Proud. It's something that's interactive with the crowd. So that's something that I feel would get over. That's something that will get the crowd behind you. If they're able to interact with you, interact with your phrase. And so the phrase "Be loud, be proud." Whenever I yell out "Be loud," I'm telling everyone, be who you are, be yourself. It doesn't matter what people say about you. And then whenever they respond, "Be proud," that tells me, they follow. That they believe in what I have to say.
Yeah, cool. So, all right. So we want, when Sean's wrestling local at home in Amarillo, we want the Lao community to come out and support him. We want half of Eastridge to be at the next event for Sean. So,
hey, going back to what Jordan said, man, I totally get, like getting the hate, and you think, you didn't get it from America, but yeah, it sucks when the hate comes from your own culture, But it's a double-edged sword, because we're trying to do something that's different, right? I mean, you think about when Laotians came over here. I came here in '75, man, and it's like everybody it was all about working for the weekend. And then there was a lot of competition about like who had the best cars and who had the best clothes and all that stuff. And so when you're doing something different, something like athletic, that's not something that a lot of them at that time could not relate to. Now, this is one of the reasons why we created the Lao American Sports Hall of Fame and SEA4 Podcast is to bring, like Sean said, to bring recognition to all you guys, man, that we exist, and like we do need, we do appreciate the support from our own culture, but yeah, I can see it, man, where it's like it kind of sucks, man, when you don't get that type of support, and you see other cultures, especially in Southeast Asia, that support each other. The Vietnamese, Thai, even Hmong people, man, they back each other.
They're blowing up.
And we're kind of like not, So we got we got a lot to do, man. We got a lot, again, that's why we created Lao American Sports, is to bring recognition that, man, we do exist, man, that there are athletes, there are great athletes. So yeah,
I appreciate what y'all do, man. Y'all doing great work, dude. Seeing all the posts and just putting a spotlight on everything. To me, honestly, it just still amazes me whenever people often ask, man, what nationality you are, and you tell them that you're Laos, they just look at you like you're crazy. What is that? It's crazy.
Yep.
Dude, I don't know about y'all, but y'all ever watch King of the Hill?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, when I was a kid, I was just so excited to see a Laotian character on TV.
That's right.
The most famous Laotian person is voiced by a white guy.
Jeez.
Who? Khan?
It doesn't matter
Khan's a
who it counts.
Khan's a white guy?
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh shit.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and,
Mike
and
Judd
Bob,
created that.
Bobby's the Laotian guy, huh?
That's right, man. Well, so tell us a little bit, Gato, we'll start with you, man. What do you have to do to train and stay in shape for this stuff?
Oh, ask Jordan Jaa. I'm not in shape.
Okay. So he doesn't. Okay. Jordan, what do you got to do?
Gato eats pho and vapes.
Yeah.
There you go. Whatever works.
No. I can answer. Like, all right, so you can do all the basic stuff. You can do cardio, you can lift weights, right? But then it's all very aesthetic too. So you got to practice bodybuilding. So bodybuilding isn't like seeing how much you can lift. It's just seeing like how can you lift properly to the point where you force your body to change how you want it to change. Because we got to look good out there, right? Like we all have our ups and downs. We all have our bad moments, right? But you don't eat a bowl of pho the day before your show, And which I've done. So, like, I'm such a bad example, but I'm a character and I can get away with it. I'm like Garfield. Okay, so there's that. But like you know, like you're playing a role. Like if one of the hardest roles that you can give yourself is the super athletic pro wrestler, because you're gonna have to be a super athletic pro wrestler every fucking night. You know, but if you give yourself a happy-go-lucky, like fat cat character, it ain't hard for me. I just be a happy-go-lucky fat cat. Sean Lau, the way he's going, he's gonna have a rough time, because I did the same shit in my first few years, trying to be the most athletic, to do all the kicks, to do all the flips, and do all this and that, right? But you take one concussion, and then you messed up, and then you kind of don't want to do it again. So you scare yourself. It's tricky, man. Like you just gotta stay healthy enough and not get injured and
Cool.
look the part.
Well, so then Sean, since he picked on you there, calling you out, what do you do, man, to train for these matches?
All right. So outside of wrestling training, I'm also a CrossFitter. And so I'm doing this new routine so to where I'm trying to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to make the 6 o'clock a.m. workout, being able to do some functional movements that will be able to help us, move around in the ring a little bit better. And with that, I also try to maintain somewhat of a healthy diet as well. I'm limiting, the junks, the carbs, and being able to be able to feel good, to be able to, run circles around whoever I'm working with. And so I do CrossFit about 3 times a week. And then on the other days, I go to training, do work on the drills, work with, some of the greener guys, and just being able to, be the best athlete that I can be.
Cool. What about you, Jordan?
I'll be honest with you, man. I'll take you back to my first round of pro wrestling, the first 9 years. I was trash. I was absolute garbage as far as for being in shape, dude. And I think what it was is because I was starting at 15, dude, I just had so much more energy than everybody. I could go, I could run, but eventually age did catch up to me, and I was just lucky enough to be a little bit naturally athletic, And so I really didn't work as hard. And towards the end of that 2010 era, man, dude, I looked terrible. I was fat. I was trash. Oh my God, it was horrible. I hated it.
I hate you for being able to do the splits.
Well, okay, let me go back to the split, okay? So I don't know about you guys. My dad, typical Asian guy, we grew up watching that old action movies, and I was a big Van Damme fan. So ever since I was like 2-3 years old, I was just doing splits like crazy. Now, don't get me wrong. I did lose flexibility for a while, but it took me probably about a good 3 years to get it back. But no, man, once I quit wrestling in 2010, I needed something else to keep my mind busy. So I started going work out in the morning consistently, finally. I don't know why the hell I didn't do it the first time. But I started running 5Ks. I got into powerlifting for a little while. I didn't like it. And then basically I got in better shape, and I look back at myself, I was like, why couldn't I be in this shape when I was wrestling the first time? But normal week for me, I go to the gym 5 days a week. I love going in the mornings. I'm just a morning guy. I wake up at 3:15. I'm in the gym from 4 to 6. I usually start off with a little bit of weights, do about 3 miles of cardio and about 20 minutes of yoga. On Saturday, I try to do long runs anywhere from say 10 to 15 miles on Saturdays. And I'm real big on intermittent fasting. Kind of like Gato said too, Gato, he's a thicker guy than us. So he can be more powerful. Guys like me and Sean, we're a little bit smaller. So we have to look the role. There's a guy named John Saxon that would tell you, what's the worst thing about being a cruiserweight is seeing a fat cruiserweight. And so there's this thing in wrestling that the term you'll get here thrown out. It's called the it factor. You have to have that it factor, but nobody can actually tell you what it is. To me, I think what it means is that you have to be marketable. you know? So Gato being a bigger guy works for him. For me, I'm a leaner guy. I'm a little bit faster. I could do a few more kicks, you know, and same with Sean. Sean's going to be a little bit more athletic. So your character, your look, whether it be a bigger guy or not, it all has to come together and just fit a package, you know? You might have guys that are 300-400 pounds that can move like it's nothing, you know? But everything is totally subjective to that person, I believe. So,
yeah.
Hey, Jordan, why do you wake up at 3:15 and not 3:16?
So breaking the glass.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, it seems like, money's big, because I'm guessing when you're kind of an amateur, and even when you start getting up, you got to fund all this yourselves, right? It's probably hard to get money coming in. At what point or where do you have to go to actually make money, make a living off of this thing? I don't know.
Get on TV.
Yeah.
Well, you get on TV or you get into a bigger promotion, like one that would draw 5 to 1,000. And you're not trying to make money off of that white envelope they give you. You're trying to make money off of merchandising. So if you have a shirt and it costs you maybe $8 to make one shirt and you sell it for $20, that's $12 profit. But you got to advertise it. You got to advertise yourself. You got to get yourself over to be able to sell those shirts. Now, if you're on a small show that has 40 to 50 people, what are the chances of you making enough money to cover your gas? But if you're on a show that's 500 to 1,000 people, 10% of that is 50. If you can get 10% of them to buy your shirt, that's like $1,000-ish mathematically. I'm not that good at math either, I'm just saying. But like, you get onto the bigger shows, you have the merchandise to sell, you make your profits, you don't spend too much on the after party or the Waffle House, you know what I mean? And you do it for what it is. It's a hobby until it becomes a career, right? Yeah. And until it becomes full-time, it's all a hobby. All of us right now, it's a hobby, dude, because we have our 9 to 5s, we have our families, and then on the weekends, we have our fun. Now, if that fun can put money in your pocket, I think we're winning. So make it a hobby that pays for itself until you can do it full time.
That's cool. So what are the chances of us seeing all of you or two of you go up against each other in a match?
Me against Jordan Jaa is very soon
Yeah,
gonna
no
happen.
doubt.
Is it?
Yeah, we're
Really?
not that far.
It's gonna
We're
happen.
not that far.
You see,
Yeah.
because the
Not that
thing
far.
is when I met Gato, dude, I'm like, oh, cool, bro. I'll wrestle. Let's start a stable. Nah, this dude wants to be freaking Highlander. It could be only one.
They're gonna be one. It's just one. Now, I've brought this up to many promotions, and they're always like, yeah, let's bring them in. But then like scheduling, sometimes he has a show on the same day that I got a show and things like that, or like creative differences. It's politics, man. Like, I'm in Alabama and Mississippi most of the time. He's in Louisiana and Mississippi most of the time, right? But his Mississippi shows aren't the same as my Mississippi shows, and there could be a conflict. But I'm getting my Louisiana license very soon, so I got a show in New Orleans on the 3rd, which my blood work would be good, my license would be good, and I think I might be able to reach out to one of his mentors and end up where he's at.
Cool. So you actually have to have a license in every state?
Not every state.
States, like certain states like Oklahoma, Louisiana, probably New Mexico to an extent. But yeah, it just depends on the rules, regulations, and
The boxing commission.
Yeah.
Oh, it rolls up under the boxing commission.
Yeah, they still treat it like a real combat sport instead of a combat art. It's performance art, right? But they don't want to treat it like that. They want to get their money, which is like 10 to 20%.
And some states are worse than the others, dude. Some states are easy to work with, and some states are just hell. Like one thing, the commissions can be kind of a headache, but we also have to do blood work. every so many months. We have to take HIV and hepatitis tests, which I'm happy about because
hell yeah on that one.
Yeah.
I need that for sure. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, me and Gato are probably the closest. He's in Mobile, which is probably about 4.5, 5 hours from me.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of people. One of my boys done whipped his ass a couple of times.
Well, if that happens, let us know, man. We'll promote the heck out of that because a lot of people like to see it, for sure.
If you guys are ever up for it, come to Texas. Yeah, because this title right here, come for it anytime.
That shit is far, dude. Driving 8 hours to fucking Beaumont. Oh my god, that's
Beaumont.
such a long drive.
Sean's about 15 hours from Beaumont, on the other side of the state.
I know.
Sean. Hey, Sean, what does that belt represent? What is the title of it?
Okay, so I'm currently holding the Panhandle title.
Okay.
With Top of Texas Pro Wrestling. So, basically, it's a local title over here. Through approval, maybe I can defend it elsewhere. But we'll have to see about it. But if they're ever up for coming to Texas, coming to Amarillo, Texas, I'll be ready.
So
I got a belt too.
See, I was under the impression they only did steer wrestling in Amarillo, Sean, because I think there's more cows than people up there in the Panhandle.
Yeah, that is true, especially from a nearby town, Hereford. Sometimes you'll smell it and you'll just like this morning. No, I was smelling it. I'm like, I know that I showered and I don't have a problem with using the bathroom on myself. So what's the deal? And then you smell it everywhere. Hereford.
Smell of money, man. They call it the smell of money out there.
Hmm.
That's right. Well, Co, what do you got for them?
I want to hear Catman, right? You were talking about work and then like the after party. Is that something you guys want to talk about a little bit, or is that something that's taboo, or
man,
because wrestling, wrestling, it wasn't, you get hurt, and I know painkillers are big, right? And I'm not saying you guys are on now, but back in the day, painkillers were big, and a lot of guys were dying from that, right? I mean, the mixing painkillers and the alcohol
and cocaine
is now, and again, I'm talking about years ago, like in the 80s and 90s. Now in the 2020s, how is that culture, or is that something you guys do not want to talk about?
I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
All right, man. I want to hear it.
It's basically a whole bunch of Bang energy drinks, right? Bang energy drinks and weed. I'll say it. A lot of wrestlers smoke weed, but I'd rather have wrestlers that smoke weed than ones that get popped up on pills and alcohol. I'd rather take that vice over pain pills.
Yeah.
And cocaine. But like, I'm not saying all, but a lot of us, man, like that's one of the best painkillers that you can take and not really mess up your kidneys, which are very important. Smoke a little bit of weed and you're good to go. And it's legal in 30 states now or something like that.
But yeah, man, after parties, they were wild, dude. I guess me getting into wrestling at the time that I did, I seen a lot of things, dude. And the crazy part about it is some of it I was like a 17-year-old kid in these bars, just getting hammered with these guys. And then there was one incident they threw one wrestler on there and they pulled his pants off on the pool table. There were sexual acts out in the front, and a lot of the older school guys, man, you hear the stories about them partying and the drugs and the drinking and the alcohol. And I mean, wrestling's evolved so much, not just on TV, but that portion too. Back then, it was like a brotherhood, which was actually a good thing. But I mean, back then there was a lot of peer pressure, a lot of drinking, a lot of partying. Like I said, some of my early years, I call them my dark years because I was doing things like that. I had done a show out of state one time, and I get back to work, got hurt at work, had to take a drug test. The Saturday night, I had done a shot of Winstraw, a line of cocaine, and smoked a few joints, And it was just, I was in that environment, But you see a lot of the newer guys, especially like with CM Punk come out with the straight edge thing. You see a lot of the other wrestlers and the sobriety now, and then you see a lot of the wrestlers dying. So times have changed a lot, man. I'm sure the partying still goes on a lot, but a lot of people are more aware now of their health. That's why you don't see as many bigger guys on TV as much either, A lot of the steroid use is it's still there, definitely, but it's also slowed down a lot.
There's less steroid abuse. Key word is abuse.
Right.
No one's trying to look like stupid monsters anymore. Maybe a few of them, but that's their
Do you guys
thing.
get tested? Is there testing in your organizations
No.
for performance enhancing drugs?
No. Not on our level. Not on our level.
No testing for recreational drugs?
No.
Sean, you were going to say something?
Only I get tested for is blood work whenever I get my license in certain states.
Gotcha. Yeah, Sean, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just saying, I would say a lot of it will depend on, each promotion. Each promotion runs things differently. Sometimes you do this, sometimes you do that. And so honestly, I haven't been to that decision yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if, there were promotions out there that would do something like that, like to test you for, these things, especially with, different states that require a license.
I doubt that. I'll argue that. I will argue that the only ones that are going to test you are the big level ones, like the ones that you see on TV. All these little companies that we're dealing with right now, like even the ones that get like 1,000 people on their shows, they're not going to spend $20 on a drug test. And then
more than that, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Back when I used to.
Come on, man. You're Laotian, man. You're Laotian, man. Your math's got to be good.
But dude, Gato, bro, even a lot of the bigger companies, I mean, they don't care. They really
don't. Like fucking weed is like one of those like things now, right? But they'll test you,
Do you believe that some guys are protected? I mean, you look at WWE and you see some of the top guys that look like, they're so much more built, than some of the other guys, and
there's loopholes, man. It's loopholes just like anything else. So.
And there's off cycle and there's on cycle. Like you're not on stuff all the time. You're just on it to get to a certain level, and then you get off of it and you're good for a month or two.
So does that mean you have a season for wrestling? You have an on season and you have an off season for wrestling, or is it 365?
365.
That's double-edged sword there, man. Because like if you don't, you wrestle a lot, you get hurt. But then if you don't wrestle when you're hurt, you're gonna lose your job. You lose your position, right?
Yeah.
And that exactly right there is why you see a lot of these guys that die young and the guys who got addicted to pain pills and a lot of stuff like that. Like you said, you get hurt. That's your money. That's your income. That's your livelihood. So that's why they had so many people back in the day that just used to push themselves like crazy.
Yeah.
And then you only got so much time. Not all of us are going to be Ric Flair. Not all of us are going to be John Cena, where we're going to get to the big leagues and then you're going to be in the big leagues for like 15, 20 years. Some people just get to the big leagues. They got 1 or 2 years. And now they're back to the little leagues. You know what, like, mental shit that's going to put you through?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just creates a downward spiral. Now, you can dig yourself back up and get back into the big leagues, but that's rare. That's very rare. So you got to treat this like entertainment. Your star power can only last so long.
Yeah. So do you guys know wrestlers that have either committed suicide or went through severe, I guess, mental health issues because of being rejected, et cetera, right? Falling from the top back down to the low promotions or?
Yeah, dude. It's happened locally here within the last few weeks. Ain't that right, Jordan?
Yeah, man. I had a friend just pass away last week. It wasn't really a mental health. It was more of a heart condition that he had since birth. But yeah, I mean, I know one wrestler a few years ago that hung himself. Even friends, man, some of them, they get to the point where they don't know how to distinguish themselves from their character. And it's a rocky road because, man, you get addicted. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 30 people you're wrestling in front of or 3,000. That when you hear somebody scream, be loud, be proud, or you hear somebody scream Space Cat or Jordan, you get addicted to that shit, man. You really do, kind of going back to what I was saying about like the whole wrestling deal and putting up with the racism and the different things like that. I always say this is that in wrestling, you will always see these crazy characters. You might see a Space Cat, you might see an Asian Cajun, you might see a dead man, a clown, or whatever. But like to me, I feel like sometimes going on the ring is the only place where I feel like I can be who I really am. But luckily I have enough sense to separate that there's Jordan Jaa and then there's Peter. You have to be like that.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because a lot of people can't separate themselves. But it's like Jordan, like you say, man, like you're alive when you're in the ring, right? So, but you have that sense to balance that out. But there are guys that live for the ring, literally live for the ring, and when they're out, they're not, I don't know, they have a hard time handling that.
It's like when you get out the military, you gotta like acclimate back into society, right? Well, now imagine being a pro wrestler that has to do that every Monday. Every Monday, every Sunday, Saturday night, you're out there, you're a rock star. You got people cheering for you, you got people buying your merch, you got people saying they love you, you got people saying they hate you. But then on Sunday and Monday, you're back to working your regular 9 to 5. You're back to being just Alan that works at the desk and hands out, paperwork. It gets real hard. I like Jordan's situation because when he's done wrestling, he's dad. That's awesome, but like a lot of us don't have that. Like a lot of us just go straight from being a wrestler into being just a dude. It's very depressing, but you like just to know that it's depressing, it helps, because like I'm probably like bipolar or some shit, but like I know when I'm fucking like I'm manic, and I know when I'm like extremely low, and I use that because when I'm low, I'm like, dude, this is just gonna pass, like I'll wait till Saturday and I get back on my show and I'm back to being manic.
Well, nowadays, as a brotherhood, do you guys reach out and talk to each other about it? Because I know back in the day, man, like if you're depressed or you're down, you don't talk about it. You keep that shit inside.
I do. Like I got certain wrestlers that I would message and shit like that, and we tend to keep things like between the bros, but yeah, like back in the 90s and shit, because I'm about 35, right? Like there was a time where we were like, yo, don't talk about your emotions. You gotta be hard. You gotta be hard because you represent all of us. Especially being like a first generation like Lao American, you mess up, damn man, that's like a black eye for the entire community. Or like if you come off as soft and you get punked out, you make all your friends and your friends' friends look soft, and you can't let that happen.
Yeah.
But at least like now we can message each other and joke around and talk about real shit.
No, that's great because coming from like when I was coming up and even my time as a bodybuilder, it's just not something you don't talk about it. You don't talk about your feelings, and you even like the recreational stuff, you just don't talk about. You don't share it. You kind of keep that to yourself. So, and nowadays, mental health is like people talk about it. I mean, there's treatment centers. I mean, like it's a business, right? So if an organization sees a guy who needs help, they'll send him to a treatment center. Back in the day, you just lose your job. you just get cut. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are able to, be able to reach out to each other and talk, man. Because, I didn't wrestle. I'm a big fan of wrestling, but I can understand why. Like, I always wonder why, like, man, some of these old timers, they just can't walk away, man. But you still see Jimmy Snuka getting in that ring and taking bumps, man. It's just like, dude, man, you gotta hang it up, man. But
man. Go ahead, Gato. Go ahead.
It's a drug. You become addicted to the energy.
Yep.
Like, and then when it gets taken away, you're actively trying to chase that dragon, like trying to get it again. It's like playing slot machine, like bing, bing, bing. I hit a bonus, and then you're losing, and you just want to hit that bonus again. But
what else too, man, is there's such a dark side to it, and I'm not really trying to knock it completely and make it sound like it's hell, because wrestling is awesome. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. I can't think of anything that, like I said, somebody can come out dressed like a dead man or a clown, and just for that few hours that you're watching, you could just suspend your belief, get sucked into it, and have a good time. But I think in my era, like around that 2000, WWE used to put out these desire videos and these promotional videos, the biographies, and everybody work hard, you can achieve your dream. And it's kind of like, I feel like we were almost sold a broken dream with wrestling. I get the whole work hard, go out there, but nobody actually tells you a lot about the bullshit that you actually have to do to make it out there, And I mean, if you're a young guy, you got to go out there and grind. Hey, I'm for it. That's the thing you got to do. But back in the day, man, before there was YouTube and stuff like that, all you had was a DVD you could pass around and hope that your buddy passed it to the next promoter, and then you'd have to drive 5-6 hours or 10 hours and you get $20-$30. Those are the things that you have to sacrifice and do in order to get to the level where you actually are making good money, And like you said, you might get there and you might be there for a year, you might be there for 2 years. I mean, luckily now there's things like YouTube and social media, you can promote the shit out of yourself, and make money. But
it's more about more about who you know, not what you know, right?
Oh yeah. The entire world works that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's with the wrestling business too, and so that's something that goes back to the adversity that we talked about earlier. We're in the business to where we got a network, we got network, branch out, know each promoter, each person, and just hope for the best to get to.
Not just networking, you got to know who to network with and who not to network with, because if you network with the wrong person, you can get blackballed, and that could stop you from getting a tryout. That can stop you from just living your dream. So you got to walk on eggshells. I'm not saying that that's the way it should be, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, man.
Fellas, let me ask you a question. How much time we have on this?
Let's go.
No, we keep rolling. Keep it rolling, man.
Okay, good. Look, I just want to make sure. I mean, I got a few questions myself.
It's like an Iron Man match, man.
That's right.
Hell yeah. So my question for Sean and Gato, just out of curiosity, because look, man, we've been knowing each other, and we just through Facebook talk, but we haven't really. Yeah. This is the first time any three of us actually sit down and talk.
Yeah.
I'm curious, characters and names and stuff. Like, how'd you guys come up with it and get where you at?
Oh, okay. My first one, right, was just based off of my Navy nickname. So you know how, like, in the military they call everybody by their last name, right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna call me Sengphachanh.
I wasn't expect.
Right? They're either gonna call me Alphabet, or they gave me the sweet nickname in boot camp. They just took the first letter and the amount of letters in my last name. They call me S12. And I used that for like 3 years, like my first few years.
Well, yeah, I seen your match with Bryson Scott.
Yeah, he was my first match ever, and they put that on local cable, and it was like 2 minutes long.
Bryson's a cool dude, man. I got to meet him a few years ago at in Houston. He's a great dude, man.
Yep. And so, but But then when I got to Texas, I was like, man, I gotta do something different. Like they don't know me. They didn't train with me, so they're not gonna book me because they know me type shit, right? So you just gotta. So I came up with Psycho Dragon, which was I don't know what I was thinking, but I did face paint like the Great Muda. I would mist people. I do like what I thought was like what an Asian wrestler does, because that's pretty much all we saw growing up, right? We saw the
Yeah.
Great Muda, we saw Tajiri, and they all did the mist. So fuck it, I'm gonna do the mist too. And then I had to leave Texas, and I went to hang out with Wildcat, and they wanted me to they wanted me to put on a hood. So I was like, all right, like I don't want to wrestle like a mass wrestler. Jordan knows that. I don't do any of like lucha shit. I still just wrestle Japanese American style with a little bit of flair. And they told me to come up with a mask, right? So what was I gonna do? So I took their logo, which was the Wildcat, but then I sent um pictures of the Three Ninjas mask and Samurai Pizza Cats. If you remember that cartoon, the Samurai Pizza Cats and Three Ninjas mask, sent it to this guy in Tijuana, and he came back with this.
Who's the guy in Tijuana? Was it Pedro?
Fucking Sergio. No.
Sergio Reyes?
No. He's good. It's a different guy, like something Juarez. But like he used to have a profile picture of like the Joker at the beach. Fucking owes me sets of gear. But then, like I said, so okay, so I'm like a cat, right? Like I'm like a kabuki cat. What can I do to make it more different? I'll be like, all right, I'm from outer space. All right, cool. I'm a space cat. Okay, how can we add another layer to that? I'm an intergalactic space cat. Okay, so how would a space cat know about pro wrestling? Okay, I took my real life stuff, which was like I used to work IT in the Navy. So I was like, all right, so he was an IT guy in space, and he controlled Earth transmissions that went out to the rest of the universe. So that's how I saw wrestling. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go wrestle on Earth.
That's
and
cool.
see.
So, Sean,
All right, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible, as far as trying to fit in 3 personas into one conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with the Asian Warrior. So how I came up with the name Sean Lao is I was 3 weeks into training, and I was asked if I wanted to be part of the Battle Royal. Unfortunately, I didn't really have gear at the time. So the next best thing was I've cosplayed as Liu Kang before. And so I basically went out in the Battle Royal in my Liu Kang cosplay, just without the wig, just kind of swing nunchucks around and just, get a quick elimination. So how I came up with the name Sean Lao, I figured, if I go by Sean, it'll make it easier for everyone too, so that, if they want to call me by my real name, they can. Now, Lao, one, I want to be able to, like I mentioned earlier, I want to be able to represent the Lao culture, to be able to show everyone what the Lao culture is, and as well as reaching out to the Lao community to be able to know what we do. And also, I just like the character Kung Lao from Mortal Kombat. And so now with Spicy Noi, what's the story about that?
Abakani.
So how the name Spicy Noi came about. So I was driving to Kansas one time, and I was going five over. I was in a car with an African American guy next to me, an even bigger African American guy in my back seat, a huge Hispanic dude, and a little Caucasian girl. And so if a cop is driving by and seeing that, the first thing they're probably gonna be thinking is, oh, sex trafficking. So of course I got pulled over, had to show my license registration, and he asked for my insurance. I'm like, well, you can look up my insurance online. Basically, I'm short with the cop, and everyone's just all scared, all quiet. And then once the cop left, everyone was like, man, that was spicy. Like, you had the biggest attitude with a cop. Like, what were you thinking? So, I've been called spicy ever since. And so, there's also another local promotion here. It's called Bomb City Bar Fights. We're going to have one this Friday at Whiskey River, one of the local bars here. So being that it's more of an adult scene and I want it to be a little bit more edgy, I wanted to have a character that's separate from the Asian warrior, but also something I can have fun with too, kind of be more free because, I'm going to be honest, I'm not much of a talker and, I'm socially awkward, obviously, but being spicy Noi is something that, I can just let loose, have fun, not care about not care about, winning or losing. It's just, being out there, entertain everyone. And, it's someone that's, looks more like a street fighter. So basically I'm combining the personalities of my uncle and my grandfather. I'm out there wearing khaki jeans and a muscle shirt and, the Raiden hat just because I think it looks cool. Now for the Shadow Dragon. Hold on.
He went with the grudge.
Well, is Noit like little? You're saying like the Lao word for little, Noit?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
more of an inspiration why I chose the name Noi because I'm a small guy and Noi is little one,
All right,
so
got it.
I figured it fit. Now for the Shadow Dragon, mix this with the Grudge Light face paint. So how this started was so I was in a thumbtack and Legos match.
Oh,
at the
Legos.
Warrior.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, this was in Arizona, so it was a
We're
decent
gonna have
match.
an Orbeez match.
So I was looking at this match. It was a decent match, but looking at the Asian Warrior in this type of match, it didn't make sense. Like the Asian Warrior is, he's mild mannered. He is, someone that's polite to everyone. He's not, he's there to, compete. He's not there to hurt anyone. So seeing myself in that match didn't look right. So there was also a promoter in Lubbock that came up with the idea of what if I turned into like the Great Muda. And so there was a cage match locally happening. And so I figured, I was storyline injured because I had a real life back injury. And I was busted open by a guy with a sledgehammer. So what better way to get revenge than to kind of go to the dark side? And so that's how, I thought of, the person that brought up the Great Muda, and I've always been fascinated with the story of the Grudge. It's one of those that, it's kind of taboo. It's one of those that, scares people. And that's the type of reaction that, I wanted. So then going out to the cage match, I came out with something different. The whole place was silent because they didn't know what to think, because how do you go from someone that screams, be loud, be proud, to just someone that's just quiet, someone that does not make eye contact unless, you're wanting to be in the world of hurt. And so being able to show that side more comfortably, told a story. And so how I came up with the name Shadow Dragon, I just needed a new nickname. So a few people came up with that, and that's what that's what I'm stuck with. And it's one of those characters that I want to use every now and then, like Demon Balor, in contrast to regular Finn Balor.
That's where things get tricky though, because if you spread yourself out too thin, you know what I mean? You might not be able to excel in one character effectively. You might build up 3 characters to a certain level, but you're not going to be able to get one character to the point where that's your money. That's just my 2 cents, but like I still like it. Like I dig it.
And like I mentioned earlier, each promotion's different. Each promotion is probably going to want something different from you. So being able to diversify yourself, to be able to be that versatile of a wrestler, meaning, that means that, whatever they need you to do, you're able to meet that demand.
My 2 cents on it, dude. I think the key to making different characters work like that is you take the most popular one and you give it to them less. You make them want it more. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody loves Demon Balor, but how often does he bring it up? So just imagine like he hasn't done it in years. If he would come out for one special match, the crowd would absolutely go ape shit. You know what I mean?
And that's why I don't like to use the Shadow Dragon all the time, because I'm going to be honest, that's my favorite persona of myself. And, that's something that I want to use for special occasions. I want to be able to use that for, high stipulation match rather than just a normal match.
Sometimes what you like the most isn't always what works best. I learned that too a long time ago. Some of the shit I really like to do is just didn't work out for me, But I think it's cool, they'll switch it up and change things up every once in a while. So, I mean, like I said, I was always told that less is more, just because you could give them everything, doesn't mean you always have to. And I think that when the point of wrestling is always wanting to lead that crowd to want more, to draw them back, to keep them coming. So, and that's just my 2 cents, is whatever one they like the most is the one I'd let them see the less. It's kind of like, when you see somebody kick out of a finisher for the first time, man, nobody's ever kicked out of the tombstone. You're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? So you have to make that character, that move, or whatever it be, a commodity that people want to see, I don't know. Gato knows, my brother-in-law, Christian Blake.
Yeah.
He said, hey, man, you drive down the country road, you look on the side and you're going to see 2 cows fucking. He was like, holy shit, 2 cows fucking. The next day you drive down the country road, see 2 cows fucking again. You're like, God damn, they fucking again. After about a week later, just 2 cows fucking, whatever. You kind of see what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Well, cool. All right. Well, Ko, you got anything else before we wrap up here?
Oh no, I really appreciate these guys opening up and talking about kind of like the dark side of the business, the bright side, but also the dark side, right? I mean, in any business, I mean, in life, right? There's always going to be a dark side to it, but I really like that you guys opened up and shared some of your stories there. So
Cool.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, hey, we thank everybody for listening, and hey, thank you to the wrestlers for coming on. This was a great episode. Please follow our page. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We could use a few more of those. Thanks, everybody, and we're out.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
The SEA4 Podcast is brought to you by the Lao American Sports Hall of Fame. Visit us on the web at laoamericansports.com. Celebrating the first, inspiring the next.